Hey guys, it's Ian here. You might notice that the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 review is at the very end of this podcast. And it might sound disjointed, but it's because we just got back from the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 premiere, and we wanted to review it right now and put it at the end of the podcast. So it'll be right there for you when you get to it. Welcome back to episode 20 of the Last Week This Week podcast. I'm Ian Scott.
And I'm Zack Huber.
And this is the podcast where we discuss nerd culture topics from the last week and this week. And today we have a bunch of stuff to go over with you guys. A bunch of trailers like Dune Part 2,
Transformers,
Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. And we got Dodgeball 2 news.
We got Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars.
Kicking people out news.
Yeah, we got Aquaman 2 news.
Fighting climate change.
Fighting climate change. And some very interesting stuff that Zack Snyder revealed at his 3-day event. His
SnyderCon.
Yeah, SnyderCon event. Yeah. But, the Dune 2 trailer literally just dropped. And that's what we want to talk about. So we're going to go right into the podcast with that.
Yeah, I made Ian watch it twice because it was so good. At least for me, it was very, very good.
It was a good trailer because they didn't like show the entire plot of this movie. They showed great action sequences and it just didn't give too much away, but still made me intrigued by what I was going to see.
Yeah, I'm curious from watching this trailer.
Yeah, what
is your impression of what this movie is gonna be or what may happen? Or
it sounds like Florence Pugh's character is a princess of whatever civilization. Do you know like of what race or whatever?
She's the princess of like the entire
empire or whatever.
Empire.
Okay. Yeah, it's so from what she's saying throughout the trailer, it feels like it's the empire dealing with like their biggest shame and then them worrying about, oh, is this kid still alive and could he come back and haunt us? And I think the movie is going to be about him like what looks like the very end of the trailer is him gathering or him uniting a bunch of people together in Arrakis.
Yeah.
It seems like he's going to be gathering forces back and maybe fighting against the Empire in this movie. But yeah, that's kind of what I got the vibe from this trailer as. Yeah.
I mean, you're not. I won't say too much, but you're not like not wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, from what I was hearing,
it's just that there's a lot of
little things that I'm missing. I'm sure. Or
there's you were right about things, but there's levels to it and how it's done that makes it all the more like interesting.
Nice.
I was pretty surprised in the first movie that they showed the
sandworms or whatever they're called.
At least like the Fremen, like showing the Fremen riding them, because that was more of something that was kind of shown later on that like that's how they got around.
Okay. So you were surprised they took the mystery out of that so soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they I think the scene that they showed of Paul riding the sandworm, I do think it'll probably play even better in the movie, but agreed. I think it was incredible. I just was really shocked that they showed him like
because
I ride it.
I doubt that's his first attempt in the movie. I feel like we're going to get like, oh, maybe it is. Oh, maybe it is his first attempt. Okay. Well, I don't know. Zach gave a face. So
it's just that for me, there's a reason why that scene's important.
Yeah.
And
you're like, wow, they showed it in the trailer. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the scene looks great. I'm assuming that's the practical worm they're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming it like what they mean by the practical sandworm is just the exterior thing that he's holding on to, right. Not the whole face.
Because he has to have like an actual surface to act on.
Which that works.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I can see how that could have been practically done.
Yeah, I don't doubt that at all.
We also got our first look at Austin Butler as Fade Routha.
He looked really good. I'm not gonna lie.
Looks very scary.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got a little combat with him as well.
We did.
In a black and white scene, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing about the black and white scene is I cannot remember, but it is a part of the book why it's black and white.
Oh, so there's not, it's not like it's a flashback sequence. It's
no.
Okay.
There shouldn't be any, unless they take like artistic
integrity.
Yeah, I don't, there shouldn't be any flashbacks. There shouldn't be any need for it. But I do think it's interesting that Florence Pugh's character, the princess,
she looks very different from them.
Yeah, she
because she's a different race.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I do think it's interesting that they're having her, because in the book, almost every chapter is, not every single chapter, but a lot of chapters are excerpts from her,
like her journal.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I think she even said something from like one of the excerpts in the trailer. So
do you think that's how they're gonna like?
Interesting that she's kind of like being like, she's having these thoughts while all of this is happening, and she's kind of, we're gonna be seeing what she's thinking maybe in real time, as opposed to this thing that was kind of foreshadowing in the book.
Okay. Do you think it's either that, or they're actually going to show like her writing, like sitting down and like writing in her journal, and then it's going to like, and then it's going to like frame the scenes that come afterwards.
That would be cool. Okay. I would like that.
Cool.
But I could also do without it. We also haven't seen Christopher Walken as the Emperor, which
you're right. Oh my gosh, I forgot about him. Yeah.
Which I think it's interesting that they're showing Austin Butler's character as much as they are.
They showed him a lot, yeah.
And not the Emperor, which will be cool.
I think that's really good though, because I think the mystery of the Emperor, like even in the first one, you felt it, you know? That was just like a very far away place and being that wasn't going to be introduced for a while. Yeah. So yeah.
And I love that we got to see like the test of strength, which I know you don't know what that is, but I think it's incredible that I get to visually see that.
Yeah, if you're listening for the first time, Zack is a huge Dune book reader. So, yeah.
And we've already seen Lady Jessica like as like what she ends up becoming, which we don't see a lot of what Paul kind of ends up being, except you see it at the very end where he's fighting.
Right. Which, I mean, his fight in the first one was good. So at the very end, didn't he have a small like fight against the leader of that group?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, not the leader, but like he was just kind of
like an outspoken member. Okay.
Yeah. And I was surprised that they showed Gurney, which is Josh Brolin's character, because again, in the book, that's a bit more of a surprise that he survived.
I didn't even realize that he was in the trailer. I don't think I saw him.
One very quick look.
Well, that's a bummer. I would have liked that to be saved for the movie. I don't like that. Yeah, I know that he's alive.
But to be fair,
now.
like it's nice, but he does a lot more than just
show up.
But
that's good.
That would have been. I would have liked them.
That would have been a really good reveal. Yeah,
but whatever.
Because I liked his character. I mean, almost everyone in House Atreides was like a cool character.
Yeah, so, pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it looks like I was really worried that like because they were getting shot so far away from each other as opposed to what I think most people would have liked, but for some reason Warner Brothers at the time didn't want to do it, which was
you're saying
shoot it back to back.
Right.
So I'm very happy that it does seem like they didn't skip a beat at all, and that it really does feel like the first one.
It feels like the exact same franchise film. Yeah.
So as long as this maintains as well as like part one was, I would love to have a continuation after this, but if we don't and we just get these 2 movies, like I'll be a very happy person.
I feel like I'd be very surprised if we didn't get more movies after this one, considering how well the first one did at the box office. But
I'm sure they would love to make a franchise out of it. It's just that
it's got the stars you need. It's got everything, you know?
It does, but like going into, if they were to go into the next book, there's, that franchise isn't going to last very long.
Sure. I mean, you probably have 2 more movies. Like if you wanted to maybe stretch it for 3 for Dune Part 2, I don't know how you could do that.
The thing is, like, I'm good.
Yeah, you're good with just these 2 movies.
Like, if you want to do a third one, that would be cool. But
so you read the second one?
I just know where it goes.
Okay, so you haven't read the second.
I haven't. Like, It is on my mind. I'm debating reading it, but I have like 2 other books that I'm like in between reading, and I'm like,
right.
I'm really stretching myself then.
And it's not like another movie's going to come out for 3 more years after this. So, yeah.
Well, but I do want to
Sure. I'm just saying you have time to read it,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's all about I have to say on the Dune trailer.
Yeah, me too.
It looks very good.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Next trailer we wanted to discuss was the newly released Transformers Rise of the Beasts trailer. The 7th movie in the franchise at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It looks,
though it is, not a continuation of the first 5.
But technically it is, because Bumblebee is set in that universe, and
Bumblebee's a reboot.
But I've heard too that like Bumblebee is set like within the original Michael Bay movies. So I don't know. Maybe it's not. I don't know, because like
I heard it was a reboot.
Sure, but like
I would say chronologically, they in the first Michael Bay movie, it seems like Prime and all of them came down to Earth for the first time in that movie, and it had never really.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'll have to watch the first one again. But yeah, I mean, so at least for this one. This is a continuation off of Bumblebee. Bumblebee takes place in 1987. Transformers: Rise of the Beast takes place in 1994. So 7 years after the first movie.
And also, Beast Wars, which is where like a lot of the characters came from, was in the 90s. So it's
right. So it makes sense. But they're not like the ideas from Beast Wars, but they're not following like the canon apparently. Because that's set like 100 years after like the Transformer stuff.
Yeah, and it has all to do with like time travel.
Yeah. So, but yeah, with this, basically, like with Bumblebee, what that movie was about was like Bumblebee setting up Earth to be a base for the Transformers to hide from the Decepticons, and this is basically following that thread because Optimus Prime comes down at the end of that movie and is like, "Hey, good job," and
good job.
But yeah, so you got
I'm Optimus Prime.
You got
good job.
You got the voice actor coming back who does Optimus Prime. I can't remember his name.
Peter Cullen.
But yeah, I mean he's always great. Yeah. And so apparently Optimus Prime is going to be the main character of this movie, like the other Transformer movies, I guess. Here's the thing. I guess with this trailer, it feels very much like every other Transformers movie. You have the kid and you have the Transformer and their story, and you have. I mean, here's the thing. The bonus about this one is that it looks like the action is stepping up. Like the action looks sick.
It does. It really does.
There's a really good one shot at the end of this trailer.
There is
that I was very surprised about.
Very good.
And yeah, I mean, and visually, like these movies always look good, so I guess I wasn't really worried there. But yeah, it's a weird continuation. I feel because it's a very loose thread that you're following from the first movie, and yeah, I don't know.
Look, the only thing that I care about, is that all my life. I have wanted to see Unicron in a fucking live action movie. All my life, I have wanted to see that fucking planet eater.
Yeah.
And the fact that they have Unicron as the fucking threat blows my mind.
And I'll give them credit that they're not doing Megatron again. Like, that's wonderful, you know? That we're not getting the same villain for a fifth time or whatever.
To be fair, it would be cool if Megatron was in it, because then you could get Galvatron, but they already did Galvatron.
So just keep it at this. Yeah. So basically, I guess in this movie, you have I'm forgetting their names, but you have like
the Maximals, Autobots,
and what's the Maximals foe?
The Predacons.
Predacons, yeah. So the Maximals are led by Optimus Primal.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. And you have like Cheetor and Rhinox in there.
Mm-hmm. And then you have Michelle Yeoh as like this bird.
Yeah, you're
character.
Right.
That one was very strange. The voice, like
I have to listen to it again.
Talking. It was whatever. Yeah. It's fine.
But yeah, I mean, you know, as cheesy as it is, it's also going to star, you know, like it's going to have that war between the Predacons and the Maximals, but it's also going to have the war between the Autobots and another Transformer race. There's just too many.
I don't think it's the Decepticons.
It's not the Decepticons. It's the Terracons. I think.
Yeah. There you
go. But yeah, so there's going to be some like double war at the end of this movie. That's probably going to be epic, I'm sure.
It looked epic.
I don't think the story is going to be anything great, but it, you know, if you're coming for action, I think this is going to be the movie for you.
Yeah.
Also, sorry. Go on.
No. What?
I was going to say the Porsche in this movie. I just realized today that's voiced by Pete Davidson.
What? You didn't know that?
I didn't know that. And then I saw him in the credits and I was like, wait, what? And it doesn't even sound like him to me. So I have to give him some props because he sounds pretty good.
Maybe if I didn't know that was Pete Davidson from the very beginning, because I just knew that that's who he was.
Somehow I missed it. I don't know how that's possible.
But it sounds fine.
Yeah.
I'm not like, but I guess I'm still like, sometimes I think in my head, that's Pete Davidson. I'm like, sure. Okay.
I guess what's also cool is that it looks like maybe that car is like taking Bumblebee's spot from like the original Transformers.
Yeah.
So another nice little twist, like Bumblebee's not going to be, you know, the main character's car again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they're doing enough things differently, but they're probably not doing enough differently at the same time to make it feel like a different movie from the Michael Bay ones, you know?
Yeah, I think it's pretty formulaic at this point. I really don't care. I'm just wondering if I'll get to see Unicron in his like Transformer form.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you ever saw the movie,
no, I did not.
The animated movie that came out in like the 80s or the 90s.
No.
But I mean, that was very that caused a lot of trauma.
I didn't know you were a Transformers kid.
Oh God, yeah. I love Transformers.
Nice.
But like in that movie, in the first like 10 minutes, they kill like all the OG Transformers that you came to the movie to see and replace them with new ones. And then
is where Optimus Primal comes in, I'm assuming?
This is way before that.
Okay.
So this is the 80s, yeah. And you have like Rodimus Prime who like takes up the place.
Interesting.
And they go against Unicron, and that's how Megatron dies too, but he becomes Galvatron, and they literally go like inside of him because he's such a huge fucking thing, and like
that sounds awesome, but it also sounds really divisive for the time, right? To kill off all the main characters.
I don't think a lot of people love that.
Yeah,
but like you even had it like back when I was a kid, you had Transformers Armada, and they had like a huge thing with Unicron, and it was super dope. And that's the only thing I care about. Is like I didn't know that they were doing that, and that's very cool, and it looks so accurate.
So is Unicron the villain of this movie, or because I was reading that it was Scourge, was like I guess the villain on the ground, or I guess and that's a character voiced by Peter Dinklage, so that's pretty cool. I didn't know that either until today.
That is pretty cool.
So and we'll get to another one of his movies next, but he's playing a lot of villain roles.
Yeah. And also we got to see Noah, who I guess is the main human character. He gets his own Transformer suit.
Yeah, I guess I missed that.
You missed that?
I guess I missed him getting his own Transformer suit.
Like Pete Davidson's Transformer, which I think is Mirage. Yeah. Like he's like, hey, take the keys or take the wheel, and like he throws this like mechanical suit, and it like wraps on him like a Tony Stark nanotech thing, and he's like flipping around with them and like fighting.
Interesting. So he's getting a lot more involvement than like Shia LaBeouf
or Mark Wahlberg.
Sure.
Well,
or Haley
maybe
Steinfeld.
I don't know. They still had involvement, but he's like literally
be fighting with them. Yeah, I mean that's badass as hell.
Which I think is from that 1980s movie.
Really?
It is.
Nice.
It is actually.
That's
cool. Is because they go inside of Unicron and they have to have the human characters go along with them because they're the only. Yes, that is true.
I guess.
Yes.
I mean, the question is like, it looks cool. Are people still going to care about the 7th Transformers movie? Probably.
Yes.
But so we'll get to see another 3 more at least, and Transformers lives.
Yep.
Well, next we also have Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Yeah.
This was a book written after the original trilogy of books. Came out in 2020 as a prequel, and I'm assuming the studio was just like, oh yeah, we're making this immediately. Once it came out, because it's been 3 years.
Yeah.
Like that they started super soon after that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's very cool to see Hunger Games like back in a different time period. Like all of it being like a 50s or 40s like retroness is a nice
even maybe
touch.
30s.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Like Depression era almost.
Yeah. But yeah, this is set during the 64 years ago. So like the 11th Hunger Games, I think. I can't exactly remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think other than what we saw through the trailer, I'm very curious to see again Peter Dinklage as a villain again.
Still drinking.
He's still drinking, yeah. But I think what this movie's really going to show is like the blonde character that's mentoring her. That's supposed to be Snow, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, apparently this book is about like the rise of Snow. I don't remember how to pronounce his first name. I think it's like Cornelius or something, or I don't know.
It might
something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, if that's the story we're following, I think that's a cool misdirect we've been given in the trailer, because I don't think he's much of a focal point in it.
No, it's more of Rachel Zegler.
Right. And about just kind of the turning the Hunger Games from like survivors to like, I guess competitors.
Spectacle.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the trailer's done a really good job of showing us a very pretty movie and misdirecting us.
I think it looks fine.
Yeah.
I don't think it's nothing about it is blowing me away, other than I do think that I do like that it feels older.
Yeah. A lot of good visuals.
They're literally treating it like they're like on like some 50s, 60s game show at points.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks intriguing. But nothing about it was like, I gotta watch this.
No, agreed. I mean, I would also say the same for like Transformers, but
no, I fully have to watch that at this point.
You have to, okay.
But I do like the idea of seeing the character of Snow learn, like he's learning and finding his own way to like be powerful and run the thing.
Right.
And what I'm hopeful is that whatever happens between Rachel Zegler's character
and Snow,
or any of these new characters that we are going to learn about, I just hope that there's enough of a reason to care about any of them to make any because we know that Snow
comes into power, right?
So
we know he wins
I'm
for
sure
this movie.
I want it to be interesting, the things that he does or the things that he learns or the ideas that the movie presents. But, I just hope that there's, we can care about other characters because that's the problem with prequels.
But I would say this could, I know a lot of people don't like these movies. I think the prequel trilogy did a great job of making Palpatine into what he was. And I think this movie could do the exact same thing, Well, because it also surrounded Palpatine with a lot of heroes that we really liked,
Yeah. I mean, it could be, we could see our first look at what's his name? Who did Woody Harrelson's character play? He was Katniss's
He's too young though.
What do you mean?
You know what I mean? This is 64 years before the first movie. So there's no way he's 64 in that movie, he hasn't been born yet.
I guess, but we could maybe see him in the future
if they do more movies, I guess.
I'm assuming they will.
But this is this is one book that the author put out, and it's not like this is Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes Part 1. They're just doing the book. I
thought that it was said that they were going to do the hope was to do multiple of them.
Well, I don't doubt from a studio perspective you want that.
I think that this might be a franchise, a multiple movie sort of deal.
If it is, I don't think that's what the author is going to want from it. Because she has been very purposeful and not releasing a ton of spin-off books after the fact. She just did this one,
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe she would. Maybe I'm not speaking.
I guess I was under the impression that it was going to be there. This was going to be a whole new thing.
Yeah.
But maybe not.
I would respect it way more if it was just one prequel movie.
I guess. Yeah.
But I think the trailer looks pretty good. I'm intrigued. Yeah. Well, we also got news this week of a sequel from 2004 coming to light, Dodgeball. Vince Vaughn is set to return, and it's 20 years after the original. We sat down and watched it this week. I had a great time rewatching it. Genuinely, I thought the original is so funny.
Yeah.
I think Ben Stiller is he's clearly the character that I need to return.
Yeah.
If anyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Dodgeball 2 is it's interesting to announce, although everything is getting a sequel at this point. So I guess if you're gonna make another sequel, do this as well.
Yeah, I love Dodgeball. That's probably maybe my favorite comedy, but we'll see.
That's crazy.
I
think it's good, but yeah.
It's kind of one of the greats in my opinion. But yes, I do think you need Ben Stiller, and nobody else has been announced to come back except Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
But I can't the same way that it's hard to imagine a Zoolander without Owen Wilson and Will Ferrell, right, or an Anchorman without the rest of the supporting cast. I feel that was because it also has to be you got to get Justin Long back, you got to get Stephen Root back, you got to get the rest of the Average Joe's Gym to come back.
I think for it to feel like a sequel, those characters need to come back. But you could easily write a new story where 20 years have passed and he's still the owner of the new Average Joe's Gym where he bought Ben Stiller's gym. but all the characters have moved on, and he's just alone again. Or I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, I'm intrigued as to what the story could possibly be. I like the original one. I don't obviously I don't know. I haven't thought enough about what the story could be, but in one form or another, I imagine Ben Stiller will show up either as the main antagonist or as just somebody who comes in halfway through the movie.
Yeah, I would
because I wouldn't be opposed to there being a new antagonist. But I
would like them to team up maybe too, against a new antagonist. I think that could be really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason, I feel like the way that they would probably go about this movie is there's going to be a lot more emotion and nostalgia, which that's the only thing that I have against doing sequels to beloved comedies is
the times have changed, so it's just not going to feel the same.
Yeah.
Right.
And when something's funny, I'm hopeful that they're no, this is very funny, but in most of the times, I think the closest comedy that had a sequel that I didn't love it, but it did okay, was probably Anchorman 2.
I really liked Anchorman 2.
So
I think that really worked.
But again, I'm not gonna be oh, I need to see Anchorman 2 over Anchorman.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen Anchorman 2 since, so there's that.
Because I didn't watch Coming to America 2.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. That didn't work.
And I've seen bits of Zoolander 2, and that didn't do great.
Yeah.
And because is anybody gonna want a Talladega Nights 2? If it's the jokes, not all the jokes for Dodgeball, but those jokes were,
there's a lot of crass humor,
very crass, and if they want to do that stuff, and everybody's in agreement that we're just making jokes or we're just.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just because it's hard with comedy nowadays because I feel like people get very upset easily, and
because there's a few jokes in the original I just don't think would fly today. The Japanese team being called what they were. Just
I think that there's that's the way that things happen with comedy,
right?
But there is a way for it to be very funny and work today.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Cause I'm still waiting for a lot of great comedy to come out lately.
Sure.
I did hear good things about this new movie called Joyride. So I'm interested in that. And I'm interested in the Jennifer Lawrence movie that's coming out.
I don't think I know that one.
She's needs to find a way to make money. And she's, this mom and dad are our son is super awkward and a virgin, and we need you to get him to get laid.
Okay.
And it looks very, so
I mean,
we'll see.
So maybe comedies can come back, but it does feel like we've gone a long time without a classic comedy,
Yeah. I mean, arguably the last one could have been Hangover, maybe, where it was universally I don't,
and it was a blockbuster hit.
There might be more. There might be some other ones that I'm forgetting, but that's the last time that I was seeing comedies in theaters.
There has to be ones we're forgetting, but I feel you. I mean, yeah, because if it's a comedy, there's always something attached to it, right? I thought of Jumanji, which is kind of a comedy, but it's also
sure
a video game, adventure in a jungle. So it's got a lot of twists or things added to it.
I guess
mean
very raunchy.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what I'm thinking too.
Yeah.
So yeah, but hey, if Dodgeball 2 can
maybe Trainwreck.
Oh, that was kind of funny. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so but if Dodgeball 2 can recreate the magic of the 2004 comedy, I think it'll work. But it needs Ben Stiller in it. That's just the bottom line.
Yeah, if Ben Stiller's not in it,
I'm just not as interested. Yeah. But I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
Well, this is a great segue to go into our hypothetical question of the week. I asked Zach this week if you could pick any 90s or 2000s movie to give a sequel that already hasn't had a sequel, what would it be?
So I went through the 90s, and there's not a whole lot that
doesn't already have a sequel
that I would be interested in.
Yeah.
But it would be cool if they did A Nightmare Before Christmas too.
Interesting. Okay.
I would be down for that.
I think Tim Burton would too.
I think that there's enough of an idea that it doesn't necessarily need to even be related to Christmas again.
Mm-hmm.
That it could be. I just like those characters, and I like the world, and I like Jack Skellington and Sally and
nice.
The Oogie Boogie Man. So, and bring back the stop motion style, like all of that stuff would be great.
I love that style. Yeah.
And then the other two that I guess I'll commit to one, but like I just don't know where you could go with these, but they would be great. I think that there'd be something there. I'll stick with Tombstone. The only issue with Tombstone is there's only one surviving character.
I thought about that, but it doesn't need a sequel. It just keep it as it is.
But none of them need sequels.
I feel you, but like I guess that's one of the reasons I didn't pick that, because I was like, it's perfect by itself. I don't need anything else.
I'm just saying, if there was a good story, I would love to see Kurt Russell on a rampage and just scream, "No, no!"
I mean, anything with Kurt Russell,
hour and 20 minutes, just no, and shooting a bunch of people.
I'll see anything with Kurt Russell.
The other idea was Seven.
Have I seen Seven? I don't think I have.
Because the way that movie ends is, oof.
Yeah.
You know, have you?
I haven't seen it, so
I'm sure you know, like Brad Pitt just being like, "What's in the box?"
Oh, sure, yeah. Is that how it ends?
Pretty much.
No way.
Okay. I mean, you know, it would be an interesting, I don't know how they would do it, but I would like to see where like somebody like Brad Pitt's character goes after a movie like that.
Right.
Or I think he's still alive after that. I think he's still alive. But like, you know, you still have Morgan Freeman, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, some sort of serial killer sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know anything about Seven. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Yeah, you're right about that.
Well, Seven is like very much inspiration for the Batman.
Is it?
So if you ever, very
you want to watch it? Yeah,
I would be down to watch it again. It's just I mean, it's funny. Like that movie is also always torrentially downpouring.
I mean, that's a great theme. So.
And like serial killer shit. So
cool.
I mean, it is a movie that you're like, oh, this is pretty rough.
Like a very dark movie.
It's very dark.
Cool. Well, I don't have three. I have a couple. My first that I thought of, and we had kind of seen it recently, was Total Recall.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. So
interesting.
Yeah, I think Total Recall had a ton of potential for me in that movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like updating it by 30 years of like cinema, you know, technology, I think you could get a really cool look that like you were probably going for in the original.
Did Arnold survive at the end of that?
He did. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. For sure he did.
Okay.
They both survived. Yeah.
But are they now living on Mars?
They're on Mars. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't, that's the thing is like, it wouldn't really make sense to call it Total Recall 2 if you're following like those two characters who lived. But
they probably show up halfway through the movie.
Sure. Right. Like with Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
And you have some new character.
Oh no, I'm sorry. 2/3 into the movie.
Yes, because that was like 2 hours into the movie. Harrison Ford showed up.
Yeah.
But But yeah, you set it with some new main character, and yeah, you bring the main characters back halfway through or 2/3 through, and that's a secret recipe for success.
Yeah, I can't say that I'd actually like to see that movie.
Yeah, I guess for me, like, it'd be cool to see Arnold Schwarzenegger again, because like we haven't seen him since the last Terminator movie. So he's really just kind of laying low acting wise at the moment.
He's an ex-governor.
Yeah, he's got a lot of money to sit on, so
he's got no, I'm not gonna make that joke. Nope.
The other movie though, I thought of, I might get a little hate for this because I do think this is kind of a perfect movie on its own, but Shaun of the Dead. Yeah, I think like it's one of like the best comedy movies I've ever seen, and I love their chemistry in that movie. Nick Frost and
Simon
Pegg, yeah. And I think going back to that world like 20 years later, because I don't know if you remember how that movie ends, but like basically the world kind of like figures out how to live with zombies, or they kind of fix the problem. I'm kind of hazy a little bit on the ending. That's funny, but I know at least that Nick Frost's character is still a zombie at the end of the movie, and he's like trying to train him to be like his friend again. So I think it'd be funny to like go back 20 years later and be like, oh, is the zombie still alive? Like, has he adapted? Is he talking? What's the world look like?
Yeah, that could be a funny idea. The only thing is that movie, Hot Fuzz and World's End is like a very loose trilogy of movies.
You think so?
Yes, it is. It's literally called the Three Flavors Coronado trilogy.
But they're not the same characters.
No, I know, but it is a trilogy.
Okay, I mean, I've seen all three of them,
and
so.
I just don't think that Edgar Wright would like throw a fourth one into there. That's
I agree. I don't think he would do a Shaun of the Dead 2, and I don't necessarily want a Shaun of the Dead 2, but if I was going to pick a sequel, I wouldn't mind seeing a sequel from that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
and here's the thing.
I do like that movie a lot. Right. I do like Edgar Wright movies.
And when I picked this question, I realized that all these movies that are coming out that are sequels to 90s and 2000s movies are just cash grabs. Like people see the success and they're like, "Oh, we can guarantee a fan base here and bring them back for this movie." And I think most of the time sequels aren't maybe a good idea or don't pan out super well. And I think that's how it would probably go with the movies we picked.
Yeah. And also the thing about sequels is that the original stuff gets watched again.
Right.
Like a lot more.
Sure.
As soon as it gets like announced or that it's like getting close to the release.
Yeah.
And also it's funny because I was just watching the new Succession and they go to their Hollywood like section of the company.
Okay.
And they're literally like, get us like the hits and like just old IP, redo it. Like we get the money. Like it's all just about getting the money pushed out.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also what's I guess no. Yeah. What's also unfortunate about is the next thing, which is that David Lindelof, who I think he worked on Lost.
He was a creator of Lost and he created the Watchmen show as well.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
He basically, maybe he was in a having an interview with Variety or some news outlet that he was going to do the Ray movie, he was writing the Ray movie.
It was his pitch.
And basically, Lucasfilm then asked him to leave.
Yep.
And then I guess Jeff Snyder, who's a reporter, was on a podcast or a show and was saying that it was they didn't like his script or they didn't think it was good enough. And then that it was going to be 60 years instead of 15 years. And it was going to have like two
2 Jedis that she was training.
Yeah, like a man and a woman, and they were going to be people of color. And I don't really know what to make of it other than like, I mean, now they have Stephen Knight, who is, what did he work on? He worked on something recently.
I don't think I know.
But I mean, it doesn't seem like he's upset about it because he said like, I would absolutely try again to like,
I think he's upset about them asking him to leave. I think he would still like to be in the Star Wars universe, you know? Yeah. And here's the thing. I think his idea for a 60-year gap in between the episode 9 and the Rey movie, I think it's a really interesting idea. I don't know how I would feel about going to Star Wars that far into the future. Like do I really care? And
that's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time and
to leave open to like what's been going on.
Anything could have happened in the 60 years. And so I think it would have to be.
Also, you'd have to have a completely different actress probably play Rey.
Yeah. The rumor I heard was that Helen Mirren was the choice, which I think would be cool. I think the idea of a 60-year-old or I guess a 70 or 80-year-old Rey would be very interesting, and it's kind of what we got with Luke in episode 8. But I just don't know if it's what is needed, and I don't think it's going to be as successful, or it was. I should say I don't think it was going to be as successful as the Rey movie now is going to be because
you have Daisy Ridley,
right, and fans are going to come back for Daisy Ridley and not for Helen Mirren playing the Rey character.
Which, you know, what's really strange about this is, as much as I don't like the idea of the Rey movie, I prefer the idea of the Rey movie that we are getting as opposed to this other one.
I weirdly
but I wish
I
wish I could read the script because maybe I would feel differently.
Yeah, and I wish Lindelof was working on it because, I mean, here's the thing. I haven't seen Lost, but I've heard like the first 2 seasons of Lost at least are really good. And I absolutely love the Watchmen show. I think that's some of the greatest or strongest television writing I've seen.
And at the very least, it's one of the best comic book related shows probably ever done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really unfortunate that they asked him to leave. But you know, maybe it's for the best. Maybe his script wasn't good.
Yeah.
And you know, like the pitch was just an okay pitch, you know?
And you know, it's also just an okay pitch.
What's that?
That would be what Jason Momoa was pitching for Aquaman 2.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Now, I was playing PlayStation with my friend Lily, and we were like waiting, like she had to do an update, and then we were just talking, and then I'm on IGN's Instagram, and I see Jason Momoa wrote his own Aquaman 2 treatment with climate change as the villain, and I went, what?
Apparently there was a lot of scenes with him speaking to the UN.
Yes. So the quote is, the beautiful thing about Aquaman The Lost Kingdom is me and my partner wrote a 50-page treatment, and a lot of it has to deal with me talking to the UN about what's happening with the melting ice caps. There's no far-off galaxy coming to destroy us or aliens from another place. It's us ruining our planet. We need to get it together and save our home. Now, I commend him. Yeah. That is, you're absolutely right. That is very true.
Yep.
My thing is that you are you in a suit? Are you
in the UN? You're in your Aquaman suit and your trident.
Well, are you in a suit?
Oh, you meant like a suit,
like
tie.
A tie?
Okay,
or are you in your Atlantean garb talking to the UN? 50 page treatment.
Yeah, I mean that's 50 minutes of your movie right there. So
talking to the UN in a superhero movie. Now, I don't think that we've seen it in Black Panther, Queen Ramonda talking to the UN about, maybe it was the UN about that. But to spend a huge amount of it and to now it's just the idea, like, I believe in climate change. I think that like that is something that's important. And if you're gonna put it in a blockbuster movie, I think like, yeah, you can get more and more people to talk about it.
Right.
But it just seems so funny and silly to have Aquaman
like,
in front of the UN talking about climate change.
And for that to be like the main conflict in the movie is just it just doesn't feel right for any like superhero movie.
Wonder Woman 1984 sort of
it's some,
like conflict.
Like, animated special or comic that right. And for me, like, I was gonna go right to Black Panther 2 because I think you could start off this movie with, where it shows him speaking to the UN about climate change.
Yeah.
And then it goes into the actual plot of the movie. But
I mean, and we don't know the 50-page script. So like maybe we are completely, just getting it. Like maybe he had a really, really nice idea about it.
Maybe. Yeah.
But and who knows, maybe it works its way into this movie in some way. Maybe, I think it's important, like, because the ocean's a big part of this, and like, but
here's the thing, it doesn't make the title make any sense. Why is it called The Lost Kingdom?
Well, maybe we'll find out. Maybe it's lost because it's covered under a bunch of pollution.
That's
it's just covered in trash and 6-pack plastic wrappers.
It's been hidden this whole time.
It's in that fucking pile of garbage in the sea
that they
that's
washed
like
up
miles
on shore.
long.
Oh, the island of garbage.
That?
Yeah. That's really rough. Yeah. So yeah, maybe that treatment would have been good for our world to get rid of Trash Island, but
it just seems like a movie idea that like the Deep from The Boys would come up with.
Yes. That's absolutely what it is. Yeah.
That's good. You know what? I'm sad that this news came out now because
now we can't get it in season 4.
But maybe they'll do like reshoots very quickly or do something on their Instagram where like the Deep is like my new movie where I'm fighting climate change.
Yeah, yeah, no, that would be great.
I hope The Boys do something with that.
But yeah, I think even if Aquaman: Lost Kingdom comes out and is not very good, I would expect it is better than the script that Jason Momoa came in with. But
yeah, well, maybe this was like in partnership with Leonardo DiCaprio, and we were gonna have like Captain Planet like team up at some point.
Boy, that would have been rough. I don't really need Captain Planet in Aquaman, but
I mean, I don't either. But I'm also being facetious. I don't think that's a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, for sure not. But no. I mean, what was a possibility at one point, apparently according to Zack Snyder, and along with the DC Universe here, he was talking about his plan for his Justice League trilogy, and his reveal at one point of Zeus and those gods was that they were going to be revealed as Kryptonians. And that was it Ares that crashed Superman's ship?
No, it wasn't Superman's ship. It was
a scout ship.
Yeah, it was the first ship.
Oh, so we're thinking it's Kara's ship?
Right? I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's I feel like it's very in line with those movies. I'm not saying like, I'm not trying to be negative or anything. I just think it's like I get why people are saying like it really just wipes away almost all of like Diana's story and just makes it very Superman centered,
Yeah.
Which, I mean, clearly Superman was the main character of his movies, but I don't think it would have been the greatest direction to go in,
I watched the clip of what he was talking about, and he was taking it into a more scientific approach,
right?
Which, to be honest, I do like that, and
it grounds the universe for sure.
Which is very much what that first Man of Steel was.
Yeah,
and even kind of going into Batman v Superman. I mean, pretty much that entire universe was his attempt to make everything as grounded as possible.
Yeah.
Though,
but yeah, playing with gods at the same time. Which, is very
but he
interesting.
didn't really go into the gods.
No,
thing.
but I guess what I'm thinking of is like, like Superman. He pretty much made into a god.
Sure.
Right.
And most of my life has been going into finding scientific explanations and not doing a whole lot of trying my best not to do a bunch of magical thinking. But the thing about Wonder Woman is, and I think it's an interesting take, but yeah, I mean, you are kind of we talk a lot about the importance of a superhero characters or any character's like identity.
Right.
Like, Superman can be probably whatever race you want. He's a Kryptonian.
Right.
Like he lived on a farm. Like he's an alien. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Batman has to be white because he has to, and like Black Panther has to be black and all these different things. Like it also just going into like what their jobs are, their background. Like Daredevil has to be blind.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder Woman kind of has to be like an Amazonian and come from Zeus and gods and all of that. And
I totally agree, but she's still Amazonian in this universe. She's just also part Kryptonian. Which is
but the thing is that then maybe Zack Snyder would have some sort of explanation, but like, where does Zeus get these lightning abilities?
Right. Why do all the why did like Zod and his two generals like have the exact same powers as Superman?
Yeah.
But why do Zeus and Wonder Woman and like an Ares all have different abilities?
Yeah.
Than the Man of Steel.
I think again, like, also not to be negative, I think it's a very interesting idea, and I could have seen it playing out.
Like if somebody had presented it as a fan theory, I would have been like, "Oh, that's a neat fan theory."
And I mean, it kind of was the idea with Kara.
Yeah.
Was that she went off and she went to Themyscira and kind of started
neat. Right.
But at least with that, at least like there was a bit of like you could still have gods,
right?
But
I mean, that's the thing too, is that like that brings your point back up, is that she's then not Amazonian at all. If Kara is the beginning of the Amazonians, she's just full on Kryptonian.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean she'd have to be with somebody, right? Unless Kara is asexual.
But was there an Amazonian man there?
Well, I think the thing is it wasn't always all women.
Okay.
So it was
interesting. Maybe we'll get to see that in James Gunn's the Mascara show. Yeah.
So
I don't know. Yeah, that's just it's very interesting, very very in line with Zack Snyder. I think it would have been neat to see maybe. I'm okay not seeing.
I kind of like the gods.
I do too.
It makes it. I think it's just like if Zack Snyder's universe was successful, maybe it would have been the way to go.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that. Like now we can have all the like Shazams and whatnot.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, that is all we had to really talk about today. Besides the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 review that we'll be doing very shortly after this. But I don't know if you had anything real quick that you wanted to bring up that you watched this week.
Just that Barry is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It's every
week Barry's just amazing, dude.
I swear to God, Ian, I was watching the new episode last night and I was watching it and I was like, I was really enjoying it, but I was like, just like, and then all of a sudden, just mouth dropped. silence. And then I was like, then I started to hear something. I went, no, like out loud.
Wow,
I was like, no.
Okay,
And
okay.
like, it's
nice.
And also, Succession's just fucking great. So good.
Yeah.
It's just HBO's got all the good stuff.
They
And
really
I
do.
can't wait to watch Love and Death and the White House's Plumbers.
I haven't heard that one.
That's the one with Woody Harrelson and somebody else, and they're the guys who like go into Watergate.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it just dropped. So I'm very excited to start watching that.
You'll have to watch that. So this week I watched the Guardians movies in preparation for Guardians 3. And I mean, again, both those movies are just all-time favorites of mine, and they make me cry at the end of each movie. And they're just beautiful movies for me. But yeah, and then I also I've only seen the first season of The Boys, so I've started season 2.
Okay.
I mean, I think the first 3 episodes have been like fantastic so far. I think, gosh, I mean, there's so much with the 7 that's going on. Like Stormfront, I thought was really cool, but is just a menace.
No.
And the Deep is still hilarious because he killed a whale, and
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I don't know. The Boys is just it's still classic Boys, and
that episode where he kills the whale, those first 3, because they were released all back in
really?
like that.
Nice.
When they're hiding out and like
in the boat or in the tunnels.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Ooh, kill him. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Just Homelander has so many moments already in these first 3 episodes where I'm terrified of him.
Oh yeah. Just wait till you get to season 3.
Yeah, I'm sure. And Anthony Starr said recently that in season 4 they go to like new places that he's even shocked they're going. You know, like And I'm like, how is that possible? This show has already done so much with your character.
Well, yeah, and just wait till you see 3. Like I'm just like, where?
Yeah.
Where are they? What
is
is even more uncomfortable than what I've already seen?
Right. But yeah, I mean,
I can't wait for you to finish it because
I'm excited to keep watching.
It's so fucking and also because you can keep up with the VOT Instagram account.
Also, I might be a little more excited for the Gen V spinoff that's coming out this year.
Yeah,
this fall, I think.
I'm very excited for that.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to look forward to with The Boys.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I've watched this week.
Cool.
Yep. All right. So we just got back from seeing Guardians of the Galaxy 3 premiere night.
Mm-hmm. We did.
Yeah. First 5 minutes or so are going to be non-spoilers for everyone who hasn't seen it yet.
Well, yeah, we'll just give some quick impressions.
Yeah.
Quick takes, and then the rest of it will be spoilers, and we'll let you know.
Yeah.
So if anybody doesn't know, my co-host Ian, he loves Guardians of the Galaxy. It's maybe your favorite franchise. It's at least
it's up there.
It's
like a top 3 for me.
Whenever I think of Guardians, I think of Ian. That's just that he's synonymous in my head with it. So
very honored to have that spot in your head.
So with your pretty biased opinion, but
I mean,
what is
fair.
What is your quick thoughts?
My quick thoughts. I feel very satisfied from the conclusion of this movie. I'm not going to say it's everything that I wanted it to be, but I think it's such a good finale. I think the comedy, like again for James Gunn, works so well with these characters. The dialogue is probably some of its strongest throughout the whole trilogy.
And
I would say the High Evolutionary is maybe the strongest villain of the entire trilogy. I
think I would agree.
Yeah.
But there is things about ego that
I love.
That I definitely love.
For sure.
But I can see that.
I think he's just maybe the strongest written like villain. But yeah. And then other than that, I think they killed it with the action for the Guardians in this movie.
Oh yeah, it's probably the best it's ever been.
Some of the best action I've ever seen in Marvel. So yeah, overall, I'm very positive on this movie.
Yeah, I am also extremely positive on this. I'm not going to say how it ranks with like if it's the best Guardians,
Yeah.
I can definitely say that I like it more than Volume 2. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
But I will say it's a goated soundtrack. Insane soundtrack.
It was mostly 90s songs, wasn't it?
Mostly 90s songs, some 2000s.
Yeah.
Where they place them in the movie is just, it's just amazing. If you're, I don't know, the way that it pairs with certain shots, which I guess I might mention later, is just amazing, and it really sets up scenes really, really well. And I think that this is the most emotional that I've gotten in a Guardians movie, let alone I think a lot of Marvel movies.
Interesting, because I would still say I got more emotional in the first 2 movies than I did in this one.
I was getting emotional a lot during this movie.
I teared up a lot. I cried a couple of times. So it's not like this movie didn't get me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the other 2 get me a lot too.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's fair. I think that, yeah, like you said, the actions. There's some scenes that are just incredible.
Just
some of the best
beautiful
action scenes I've and just best like team. There's a specific. There's actually 2 specific scenes.
Yeah,
probably in the third act that are just so perfect. The way that they're choreographed, that show off the characters' personalities and the way that they
fight, right?
And the way that they can line up hits for the other members and as a team that are just incredible.
I feel like live action team up shots are so hard to pull off, and like clearly, and for people who know us and me, like I'm a somewhat of a Titans fan, and it's like it's what
I was actually thinking about that.
Right. I'm just like, this is the type of action I want from a team, a superhero group.
Yeah.
And we just never get that type of group action. And I feel like I almost took it for granted with these characters, like I feel like we got it throughout the first 2 movies, and then they just improved on it again in this movie. So
yeah, I think it's the strongest that it's ever been. And it reminded me a lot of the takedowns and stuff that you would do in the game of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Like I was just getting like, because the game was obviously so influenced by James Gunn's movies.
Absolutely.
That it's almost crazy how this is like now the game, but like even better. But I don't like. Anyways, super strong movie. I mean, maybe my favorite of the year so far. But maybe I really, really liked it.
Probably my favorite of the year. Yeah, I would agree.
Like,
yeah,
I loved Air.
I did too. But
and I loved Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, right. But those 2 movies don't really touch this for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there's maybe some small nitpicks about characters and their developments.
I have a small, I mean, it's a spoiler, so I won't go there. And but there's a couple nitpicks I have, but overall, I think this is a very strong,
satisfying
finale. Yeah,
very satisfying.
Absolutely,
very emotional. And all the characters I think get written very well, and they all kind of have their own arcs in a way.
I would say so too. I mean, I feel like it's hard for Groot to have an arc.
Okay,
but
the only character that doesn't really have one, sure.
But he still
kind of does.
He still kind of does. Yeah. So
kind of does.
I'll give it. I mean, yeah. Every character is well thought out and developed, and is aided by that through other characters' dialogue, and I don't know. Just it all works so well. I think now though should be the time where we get into spoilers.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I'll give those people a couple seconds to click off if they need to. But yeah, so I would say I was surprised how dark this movie started off. I feel like the immediate tone was like a very uneasy tone, like just the music that brought you into it, and then like you see.
Wait, before that. how nice was it that we got to see all the Guardians in the Marvel like panel pages logo?
My God. I got chills. I literally got chills because I was like, when's the last time this has happened? Like where the entire Marvel logo is the main characters of the movie. You know?
Wakanda Forever.
Was it? Okay. Well, yeah. I guess that wasn't that long ago. But
but like it doesn't
happen that much.
No.
Yeah. So I was like, this is big. They're clearly like giving respect to this movie, these characters.
Last time.
Yeah. So that was beautiful. But yeah, the way this movie starts off, Star-Lord is still depressed about Gamora, and he's basically a drunk. Like they kind of go into the fact that like, oh, he's drinking again. You know, like he's like, you know, kind of an alcoholic.
And I mentioned to you when we were recording the podcast earlier that there was some, not during the podcast but afterwards, that there was something that a reviewer had mentioned that they glossed over and didn't really mention again, which was the drinking. But I don't know, they kind of did talk about it a good bit, and like maybe and like it did play in a little bit. So I don't agree with that, because I think that like
I also feel like there just wasn't a spot like throughout the entire movie where he like logically should have been drinking again or like needed a drink. Like I feel like he was going off of adrenaline almost the entire movie, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's set up very well that like he's very upset. And then he feels guilty that like if he wasn't hungover and everything.
So basically you know, the one of the beginning scenes is Adam Warlock finds the Guardians.
And he comes in with this heart song, and it's
so good.
It is well, that moment, incredible. He's flying in and it's like amazing.
Yeah.
But the way that the movie starts off with Rocket singing and walking around nowhere to an acoustic version of Creep.
Yeah. That was really good too.
To be honest, as much as I really love this movie, the beginning part, I was kind of like uneasy and didn't know if I was like loving. Like I felt distance from it. Like I kind of got the tone, but it kind of at the same time. I feel like
it's because it's a different tone than the other Guardians movies, you know?
Yeah, but it even like everybody seemed kind of down, but kind of not down. Like it was a strange thing. It was like kind of what the Christmas special, the holiday special kind of was doing, but like I was like, is this working? And then, you know, as soon as the Adam Warlock stuff happened, but I think if I watch it again, because I still had the moment of like, this is kind of crazy that we're getting this amazing, like the logo shows up and it's the high of that song. And I'm like, this is kind of crazy. Like, I really like this, but I'm kind of uneven.
Right.
Like, I don't know, but
I mean, I can't say like a lot of this movie is what I was expecting coming in. And I didn't have like a ton of expectations. But yeah, I think this movie did a really good job of throwing like what I did have expected from this movie to like throw me off.
I will say that we were mentioning that like spoilers, obviously, that nobody dies.
Yeah.
But it's strange because I think in pretty much every James Gunn movie, like kind of somebody dies.
Every single one. Yeah.
And I think that this is, you know, because throughout the movie, we get like these moments where it feels really like
oh,
wow,
crap,
is it happening now?
Right.
Is this happening now? And I think with the promotion of the movie, and what happens in here, like I really feel like
someone was going to die.
He's really like the whole. He's really playing off of like his trope, but it was done in a way where, especially with how satisfying the movie was, that I'm glad that nobody died, but like there was enough moments of like, wow, this is actually happening, or it could happen that
you kind of got it.
Yeah, right. Like it still felt
you felt the emotion. And yeah. I could agree with that. I think I wouldn't have had a problem if he wanted to kill off another character.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, kind of going back to that, the Adam Warlock scene basically results in Rocket, kind of taking a fatal shot, and he's bleeding all over the place, and they're trying to save him, but you learn at this point throughout the entire movie, while he has these kind of flashback sequences,
which are done very well.
Great. It's a great use of a flashback, and I think it tells his story beautifully. I knew a lot of his prequel, or I guess not his prequel, but his origins going in, and he killed it. Like, yeah.
And I think I was really blown away at how little Rocket in the present day is in this story.
I was shocked.
But
yeah.
But with all these flashbacks, you're getting that emotional story that's leading up to the end of the movie.
Right.
And you're getting like time with him and understanding him.
Yeah.
And like there's moments where it's a flashback because it's probably what Rocket's thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's flashbacks where it feels appropriate to have that moment to tell the rest of like to give story, context to the rest of the story.
Yeah.
So I think the flashbacks are incredible. And I know that they started with those CGI characters first. Like all those scenes were like the first days because he knew how long they were going to take. And they were incredible, and the creature designs are amazing.
So good, yeah. They nailed it with Rocket's friends.
Yeah.
I think Linda Cardellini killed it as Lila.
Oh, is that?
Yeah.
I saw her name, and I didn't know who she was playing.
Yeah, I mean, very cool that she has another role in the MCU now.
She's a dead otter and
retired
Shield
MCU,
agent.
Yeah, special agent,
wife of Hawkeye.
But yeah, I think speaking on the flashback scenes too, the High Evolutionary was built so well throughout that. I don't think he got like a ton of dimension to him until like the third act maybe.
And I still would argue that he still in a lot of ways is just a one-note villain, but
he is.
I understand that like I think he's an interesting character because I still think that what he was the performance, because if it was given by a lesser actor, then I would have been like, whatever. But the performance was so
like he like spewed
obsessive.
Evil, like he just embodied evilness as a character, and it worked. Like you hated him because of what he was doing to Rocket and all these animals
But and the satisfaction of what happens is that much greater. But I really feel the obsessiveness where he's just blown away that Rocket could become what he became.
Yeah, what he is, right? Yeah,
or even more.
That was a big thing too. Is that the High Evolutionary like realizes that Rocket is like at the same intellect as him,
if not more
as like a baby pretty much, and he kind of freaks, but kind of just ends up throwing him to the side and is like, I'll just dissect your brain, like I don't actually need you,
and burn your friends.
So I mean just pure evilness, but
portrayed very like I loved and I forget his name, but I
do too. Yeah,
he did a fantastic job.
But yeah, I think that also ties in with the darkness of this movie too, because like, boy, those creature, like the way he modified his friends was very disturbing almost. Like the bunny who's named Floor.
Yeah, like
it almost looked like he was gonna kill somebody at some point, like
one of the scary toys from the first Toy Story.
Absolutely, that's what it felt like.
I mean, even the creatures at the end, they have like the war pig and that falcon, like that bird. I mean, and then it gets even wilder with the like quote unquote, like just like just
right.
We have to have a bunch of things to fight, but like they were particularly creepy, and
they were. I'm
surprised he did that to so many.
Well, he's been living for like 20, 30 years doing this, right?
Yeah.
Or something.
I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess if we don't really know how old Rocket is, but
no, I guess we don't.
And again, going back, I think, to the dark theme of this movie, they like the violence, like over and over again. it was shocking how violent it was.
Yeah.
There's a scene where they're trying to break out of Orgo Corp. I can't remember. Yeah,
close enough.
And
which was the
great
design.
Love the designs of that place. That is so sci-fi,
and it's so what I wanted from Quantumania.
Oh sure, yeah, good designs, right?
But like they played into it all, and it all felt like it made sense in a weird way.
In a weird way, it did. It didn't need explanation. It just it felt like there were rules to this place.
Yes,
where there wasn't that in Quantumania.
No.
But yeah, while they're trying to escape, they get shot a few times, and Drax looks like he's about to die. Like both him and Nebula are like spitting out blood.
Not to mention, Nebula gets in the Adam Warlock fight, like she's just reassembling all of her limbs, and
I mean, not the first time
gets her arm like snapped.
Yeah, you're right. The Adam Warlock fight too was gruesome. I mean, he just fully snapped Mantis's arm.
Gamora shoots James Gunn's wife in the leg, and there's like blood. And
I was gonna bring that up too.
I mean, there's a lot more blood than I thought that they
agreed. Yeah,
which I love.
I like that too. It just again, I
kind of felt bad for the kids in the theater. Like I was like, damn,
wow, yeah, this isn't your
and an F-bomb
typical Guardians movie. But that was a great use of the F-bomb, because even I wasn't expecting it there, even though I heard that there was
one, and then that was pretty perfect.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I think other than the themes of this movie, I guess, and maybe other than the positives that I'm speaking on, we talked a little bit about it after the movie, but we both kind of feel, I think, or at least I do, that Adam Warlock was set up to be, I think, like the big villain at one point for this movie, and I think I'm okay. I'm totally okay with the High Evolutionary being the main villain.
Yeah.
I guess I just wish Adam Warlock was taken like a little bit more seriously, because he's not, even though he's a massive, powerful threat, he's never around enough to be, I guess, enough for me to be scared of him throughout the entire movie. He feels goofy a lot of the time, the way he's portrayed, which is fine. He's a comedic character in this movie. But yeah, I think I would have been okay with a different kind of portrayal.
I could have been okay with a portrayal of like something that was like in the video game, where he's very like stoic and also kind of like up his own ass a little bit.
Right.
But I personally thought that the portrayal worked in this movie.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense why he would then end up in the New Guardians, because he fits that misfit, misunderstood, like doesn't belong sort of thing.
Right.
Fucks up a lot, and because I guess for me, like I wasn't coming at that he was gonna be like the villain,
right?
And I didn't necessarily see like this route with his character, but I'm cool with it, and he's extremely powerful.
I mean, I was somewhat expecting a route of him going from like bad guy to good guy and being like an ally of the Guardians, because he was right, and that's what his arc was.
Yeah. It was maybe I will say it's a bit odd at the end after getting completely like blown up in the ship to like wanting to help Star-Lord out at the end. But, I'm down for it. I'm cool with it.
The explanation really is just like somebody's finally treating him like a person, maybe.
Yeah.
And they're giving him a second chance when no one else would.
Yes.
So yeah, I think it makes sense for him to turn, to help them out. I guess I wish his presence in this movie felt more than just setting him up for like another movie. Because to me, that's how, like, it felt like he was clearly just being set up for the new Guardians, which at the end of the movie, we should say they, the Guardians somewhat take a hiatus and break up, but Rocket's still their leader. And in an end credit scene, we see Rockets form the new Guardians with Adam Warlock and Kraglin and Cosmo and Groot and one of the new kids that they,
which I guess her name is Phyla.
It's Phyla. Okay.
Yeah.
Is she a known character at all?
The only thing that I read was that she may be like Phyla Vel, who is maybe related to the original Marvel, like Captain Marvel. So,
okay.
I don't think that's that.
I feel like she was just
but
more...
she clearly has some sort of high evolutionary powers.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think she's, for some reason, has high evolutionary's abilities.
Yeah.
And she, that's why they have her in the Guardians.
But way more powerful Guardians.
Yeah, I mean, every single person except Rocket has a power. And yeah.
And Rocket's still like crazy good with guns and is extremely intelligent.
And this movie built him up as probably maybe the smartest person in the galaxy. I mean,
potentially.
He's brilliant. Top tier scientist, inventor. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say, speaking on, I guess, my negatives a little bit, I was expecting to see the original Guardians way more than they were shown. Like, Sylvester Stallone and his group.
You know what's crazy about the Ravagers?
Yeah.
I really want to know about that Ravager that has the sling ring. Do you notice that?
Oh, yeah. The one who kind of emotes with his like hands and then was teleporting everyone in.
What the hell?
Yeah, I mean they showed all those characters at the end of Guardians 2.
But a sling ring? He's a wizard?
That is odd. That is pretty cool.
I need to know more of that.
Sure, I would love to as well.
Now, you were saying that you think Adam Warlock is just in to like set up for other stuff?
Which
potentially, but I think he did serve... That his purpose could have been served by anybody who like make up a powerful character and like have them have this.
That's the thing, is that
I did like him.
Right. Like, to me, it felt like he was in the movie. Like, and I hate to say this, but it almost felt like it was only because he was set up from the second movie. Like it's not like I needed, I don't remember the alien race that they're
the Sovereign.
I didn't really need the Sovereign to be created by the High Evolutionary. Like,
it's a nice through line.
I think it works for sure, but I mean, like, anybody could have been a bounty hunter for him. And
yeah.
So I think Adam Warlock works like enough, and I'm not like super upset with his betrayal because I like what came of it. I wish there was a little more put into Adam Warlock.
Yeah, like I think what I was saying when we were talking a little bit after the movie is I wish that you felt it just a little bit more, that like his planet, his race is at stake. You did feel it. I'm not going to say that you didn't feel it. It's just we got it in like a scene or so.
Yeah,
and
one scene really. Yeah.
He didn't have a whole lot of time with like his mom, which I think if they had just a little bit more time of him really feeling like not being taken seriously and like
right.
And then also feeling the stakes, then maybe it'd feel different.
Yeah.
So I'll just say that. But everything at the organic place that they went to is amazing. I love Nathan Fillion's character. It was hilarious.
So funny.
But also
he was
so
head
dark.
Of security there.
Yeah. And just, that's like our time with Star-Lord and Gamora, like catching up again and understanding how the two are and how different she is. And
that was very surprising for me too. Like I didn't expect the movie to have this much of like new Gamora in it. Like I really thought, I guess going in, that a lot of it was going to be like the search for Gamora.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem with what happened. But I did really find myself at points missing like the presence of like old Gamora and Rocket in this movie. Like I really do love, like, I think Nebula and Mantis like take their spots perfectly, because I think all the development we get from them is beautiful and amazing. But like I genuinely love the dynamic of the original group. And I think we were hurting a little bit by like missing two of the key characters.
But I think that's what makes the writing and the story so interesting to me.
I guess I shouldn't say it
like
hurt the movie.
I miss it,
right.
But that's because like I miss it because it was good, but this is equally just as interesting and good.
Yes, it's equally. Yes, I agree. Yeah,
And I will say, like, this movie, just as it is with other James Gunn movies, I think is a masterclass in how to write.
Yeah,
because there are so many times where something is happening that the other group of the team is unaware of.
Yes.
And then that causes a dilemma in itself.
Yeah, because it
happens a lot of times.
Right. We were speaking of it,
or like they're just at opposing viewpoints, like with Gamora. Like it just and instead of like just being like, oh, I don't want to do that, the character will do the thing that clearly the other person is really not okay with.
Right.
And it causes a situation, and then they have to deal with it. So it's like
that's something we were complimenting about the movie, like with a group of friends we saw, was that like so many of the moments feel like real human moments, like the group dynamics when they were like in the living room and just couldn't like come to a stable point where like nobody could make a stupid remark or nobody could not make a stupid remark.
And also just the fact that they're like trying to communicate what they're trying to do to these people who don't understand what they're saying.
Sure, yeah.
Like
and then there was so many other moments too, like that were just real like moments, like Gamora getting like frustrated with the group that like she's not, who they want her to be, and like her lashing out. Like I was like, wow, this is like a real this is a real moment for Gamora. I was really happy with, that amount of emotion.
I think all of the places that like they honestly went to places in this movie. Like I thought that like we were getting close to the end when we were just on what's it called?
Counter-Earth.
Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, okay, this is this was this is good.
Interesting.
But then it's like we get to the fight where it's like Nowhere's coming out as like a ship and fighting, and I was like,
gosh, that was
whoa,
we haven't
like
even
we're
touched
not
on
even
that.
Probably like we're just probably a little over halfway, and I was like, this is great. Like I'm getting more than I thought I was, and then it kept going, and it just got emotional, and
that's something I'm happy that they like brought into the third act too, because I was really hoping for like Kraglin and Cosmo to be like full on Guardians.
I was expecting more, but then when they brought them in,
and
it felt satisfying.
It felt so satisfying,
and the
because
whole bad dog thing really pays off, and it's so funny at the beginning, but then it's super sweet at the end.
And even Kraglin's arc, like they started in the holiday special, and it like fully pays off here, where Yondu comes back and is like, hey man, from the heart, and he gets it, and he kills it with the arrow and kills a bunch of guys, and
then you think he fucks up,
but nope,
and then nope, you got it.
And Cosmo, man, like Cosmo just carried at the end, saved like countless lives.
It was controlling all of Nowhere to bridge a gap.
I mean, with Mantis's help,
airtight gap, sure,
but still,
well, and Nebula's.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So yeah, they both got their moments, and they were beautiful. I think
incredible one takes. Well, I debate if it's actually a one take.
Sure, but we're talking kind of about that hallway scene.
But the hallway scene, where we get No Sleep Till Brooklyn playing.
Yes,
and then it's this perfect moment.
I had some of the one of the biggest smiles on my face during that scene.
Yeah, and it completely illustrates who the Guardians are.
Yep.
And I felt it at the end of the video game that I played. I felt it at the beginning of the original Guardians.
Yeah.
And this one was perfect like really perfect because Gamora's just like, why would we go back and do this thing to save all these people? Let's just go.
Right.
And then everyone just slowly starts turning around and walking to the song, and it's perfect. And then Drax, he just walks forward. He knows, like everybody knows that what he's gonna do. He's gonna rip it open. He already knows.
And
then it's just one of the most perfect choreographed group fight scenes. And it's brutal, but it's super. It has so much character.
But even the one at the very end where they fought the High Evolutionary was just as good to me.
Yeah, and like Rocket's getting it's so, and then it's perfect because like you would have missed it if you weren't paying attention. And I don't blame anybody if like you don't like this. This is just a small thing because I'm sure I missed plenty of things.
Right.
But just early on in the movie, like Nebula's like, why are you walking on the ceiling? He's like, I want to test out if these anti-gravity boots work on an incline. And then at the end, High Evolutionary is like, I've adapted that gravity can move at my whim. And so he's getting flung around by the High Evolutionary.
Yeah.
And then he just hits the button and he's like, says, I'm Rocket Raccoon, and then Ian's fucking crying.
Like what a amazing like small thread to put in there.
Blast him. Then everybody comes in and does like one punch takes, and like Gamora just stabs him. We see what Rocket ended up doing, which also when
peeling is, or I guess that was
when Lila gets shot, and then you see that the rest of them got shot, and he's just like yelling and screaming and clawing at his face, and then you see what happened to him. And it's brutal. Like it is worse. Like I remember when I saw The Dark Knight, I was like, when you see Harvey Dent's burnt face, you're like, ooh. I mean,
this was pretty bad
in like a superhero movie, you know. Right. And this is by far worse, and it's in a Marvel movie, and like I said, there were kids that were just like, whoa.
Yeah. This movie's like it's intense and graphic, and the High Evolutionary's face is in line right with that.
Because I think I was like, that's weird. Why? Like he was normal looking in the flashbacks. Like why would he do this to himself? And then you see why.
Yeah,
and you're like,
Rocket,
God damn,
effed him up. Yeah. Man, such a good movie. I'm liking it even more just talking about it, which is kind of incredible.
Because you were, I don't want to say your rating for what you had it compared to the others, but
I'll still say it right now.
Sure.
I would still say even now, I like the first two more than this one. I think it's nothing against this one, I guess. I think the first two movies are just like it's almost just a perfect two-parter for me, and I just feel like the original Guardians group is just it's unbeaten, and then the dynamics in 2 and the arcs in 2 that really pay off at the end of that movie. Just I don't know. I really have no complaints for those two movies. Where I have like some teeny ones here and there. Like I haven't even mentioned like I'm not a huge fan of Groot like actually speaking at the end where he says I love you guys.
I kind of like that.
To me it's like
you heard the theater too. Oh,
sure, but like I think the moment like I guess what I'm trying to say is the first movie already did that when he said we are Groot. Like that was Groot's moment, and I don't think we needed like another one where it like goes above the we are Groot, But it's just me. It's a nitpick. But yeah, sure, I just have a couple here and there with this movie.
I need to see the first one.
Yeah.
It's just this one really affected me in a lot of ways.
Sure.
Like because it was equally amazing, bizarre, super irreverent, and just fantastic comic book, and just let alone movie, but also deeply emotional. And
it's very emotional.
And the fact that the music choices are so good, the way that they pair up. Because for me, I wanted to be a director when I was younger, and I still do it to this day, where I will listen to music and I will think out scenes and how the scenes will play with the music.
Nice.
And so when James Gunn does these movies, and like I'm like, I would love to do that, and I get chills. And but what I guess I'm saying is like because at the very end, like they started to play Florence and the Machine's Dog Days Are Over, and I was like, oh, I don't know about this. Right. And then I got it, because it was like watching like a late 2000s indie movie where people are like you get Drax dancing, and that was a whole fucking thing. Like, you know what that meant.
That was very emotional.
And everyone's like dancing around. It's like where the wild things are. Like, people are screaming. Like, it's a very joyous, but also like bittersweet thing, like melancholy thing, where you see Star-Lord going to see his grandpa, and like everyone's taking, like Drax is crying as Mantis is walking away, and I'm like,
that's something we gotta talk about too.
I'm getting choked up, you know, like it was deeply affecting, because it wasn't just like, oh, this is fun. This is like a cathartic release, and also very emotional, and a very satisfying conclusion. And there's just a lot of moments like that.
Speaking about the music though, like I really did enjoy, like, you know, like you said, they synced up so well to so many of the scenes. I think for me though, and it's nothing like any other music choice from this decade could have done differently. It's just like, again, comparing it to the first two movies, I think those soundtracks like weirdly mean like more to me, or like a more to the character of like Peter in my mind, because they're straight from his childhood and straight from like his mom's mind.
Sure.
And, you know, all her favorite songs. Whereas like all these songs he had clearly discovered since the last movie, they don't have an emotional like connection to his past life. So I think in that sense, it had a little less emotional weight to the soundtrack. But
I think for me, it's that the whole group has now been accustomed to all this Earth music.
Sure.
And you clearly see that at the end with like them. Who's your favorite musical artist? Yeah. But like you see that with like Rocket's now the one listening to like the music. Yeah. And if anything, maybe it's more of like Rocket's like.
Well, I don't know if you remember.
But I think it's like now it's the whole group.
But in Guardians 2, like right before, you know, they break out of the prison that him and Yondu are in.
Yeah.
They ask, you know, if you have any of like old of Peter's old like tapes on the ship, and so like they play a song of Rocket's request. So I mean, he's already at that point kind of like into music, you know, at least in my mind. But this time
I feel like it's like he's outright just playing it through nowhere, and you know.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. But yeah, so Peter and his grandpa, we kind of glossed over that.
Oh, yeah.
At the very end, he, you know, basically takes a hiatus, or, you know, kind of says he's leaving the Guardians, and goes to see his grandpa and visit with his real family again. But we get an end credit scene where they're just kind of at the dinner table, or, you know, breakfast table, having breakfast.
And the Christmas special is canon, because on the newspaper it says alien abduction, Kevin Bacon tells all.
Of course it's canon. I mean, it had to have been.
But like, I like that.
No, I loved it. That's great. Yeah. But, you know, it's not really an anything scene. It's just a little goof.
But is it?
But, you know, at the very end, it cuts and it says the legendary Star-Lord will return.
I was going to say even something else.
Sure. What was
He's saying, like, don't you think, this might not be anything, but it could be. Like, he's like, why am I mowing this 45-year-old man's lawn? Like, he's able-bodied. Like, why? And his mom's like, and I'm like, and he's like, don't even get me started. And I'm like, why? Like, I don't know if this is, I don't know. Like, maybe it's just like a funny joke, but I feel like maybe there's something going on there.
Maybe.
Like, I don't know.
I don't know what it would be, though.
I don't know either. I'm just curious. Yeah, but like, the legendary Star-Lord does that mean Chris Pratt?
I think it does.
I would assume so.
And here's the thing,
because I think he like names himself at the beginning like the legendary Star-Lord from the first movie, right?
Yeah, he might. I don't honestly remember. But like even Chris Pratt in like recent interviews was saying, like he's open to return if it feels right. He said it would feel weird without James Gunn.
Yeah.
But that he would do it. I guess where I'm kind of surprised is that like, both Dave Bautista and Zoe Saldana had said that, they're done after this movie. Like this is the end of their characters. And I guess I was expecting a more like finite ending for them, like those two characters, because they're fully left, open and with certain groups that we know are sticking around.
Maybe they'll show up in like cameo sort of ways,
and they just wouldn't have the same actors.
I don't know.
Because I genuinely don't think those two are ever going to return.
I think
for another movie.
If they don't, I think that's fine. Yeah. Because in my head, I can be like,
yeah, they're off doing their own
Drax
thing.
is be able to be a dad again.
Sure.
And I might not. I don't know how. I need to think about the Gamora one, because she's clearly happy with the Ravagers.
She is.
But I don't know if that feels super satisfying.
I think what threw me off a lot too, and I haven't even discussed this, I was really expecting a romance reunion of those two. Like
sure.
They really but
that's kind of what makes it interesting.
That it is interesting. And the arc there for Peter was learning how to accept that she's not right.
Not hop on her lily pad.
Right. And it was it was just accepting that she's not the same person.
And that he needs to
move on. Right.
But with like, I guess the thing is like, instead of filling that hole up with a woman,
he needs to fill it with his real family that he's been running from his entire life. So no, it's really good arcs. It's not the arcs I was expecting at all, but
I think most of them are very satisfying.
They are for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad Groot gets to hang out with Rocket.
Gosh, yeah. And Groot's action scenes in this movie, man. He had like he and Star-Lord had a fight against the High Evolutionary in the throne room.
Mm-hmm.
That was so good. Like Groot threw out so many moves I wasn't expecting. Like him going kaiju and him pulling out all the guns underneath his body and
grenades,
him flying. Yeah, I mean
that was, by the way, when they go jumping out the window, when they like straight up kill that dude.
Yeah. That was amazing.
I gotta say, like, I was kind of shocked that they killed them, especially in like that way, but I liked it.
It was badass. Yeah.
The sad thing for me is like, I want there to be more directors with like a vision like this, where it uniquely still feels Marvel, but there's a vision, there's a personality, like there's
absolutely,
and it's testing things, and it's creative, where like I'm gonna miss James Gunn in the Marvel, like, because he had a great voice and and it definitely is refreshing.
I mean, so I know it wasn't exactly the same in Infinity War and Endgame, but you even felt it in those movies. Like when it switched over to like in Infinity War to the Guardians for the first time, you were like, hell yeah, this is like a breath of fresh air right now. And I think I'm gonna miss the cosmic side of things. Me too, man. Because the cosmic side of the MCU hasn't been explored enough in my mind.
No.
And James Gunn has done a brilliant job of exploring it.
And
so
I'm wondering if they'll do any of like Rocket's Guardians in the future, and who would take care of that, or if we're just
I would love to see it, but if we don't, I'm okay with that too, because it's left up to my imagination and they're just on adventures. I don't
know if I'd love to see it if it wasn't by James.
I agree. I wouldn't. No, yeah. I mean,
I would see it.
I'm okay.
I'd be okay. I could maybe,
if these like, characters return for like, if it's not all of them and they return for another property that's not Guardians, I'm totally okay with that. but I don't want any more Guardians movies. I think like unless James Gunn is going to return, you know, I don't want it.
No.
Yeah.
I don't want it either. No.
But yeah, I mean, solid A+ movie here. It satisfied me. Absolutely.
Very satisfying.
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything else to say.
I would agree. I mean, I feel like we talked a long time on this. I don't even know how long.
Longer than we thought. Yeah.
We just had a lot to say.
Yeah.
But, you know, I want to thank you all for listening up to this point in the podcast. This was a long one, but this was an important review for us, important review for me especially.
Yeah.
And and thank you for listening. If you want to listen to us in the future, we are last week, this week on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Podbean. And we have all our timestamps down there, so you can click on whatever topic you'd like to listen to. If you want to support us on our social medias, we are at Last Week This Week Pod on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok. If you want to support us there as well, you can leave a comment, a like, a rating. And
reviews would be great.
Yeah, reviews
Love a review.
The best way to support us.
Love a comment on the YouTube channel.
Absolutely. But thank you all again for listening and supporting us.
Yeah, thank you very much. Until next time.